Welcome to the Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culture's WWE podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Betson, and you can listen to this show on a Friday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes, but that will be changing very soon. Keep an ear out for that one. If you want to join a wrestling conversation, you can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/thepopculturist, Discord, Twitter. All the links are in, are in the description below. If you want to just... Damn. If you want to join that wrestling conversation as it happens, head over to patreon.com/thepopculturist, where you can get a nice little sneaky link where you can watch us record this show live. If you want to support us in a more once-off fashion, head over to thepopculturist.com/shop. You can buy shirts like this and other assorted shit with our logos on it. And we are also on Twitch, twitch.tv/thepopculturist. And that's correct. Things are changing. Times are changing. With the introduction of SmackDown moving from its original Tuesday time slot in the US, or Wednesday for us, to its Friday time slot, and the Saturday for us here in Australia, we have had to change how we run this show. So, before we get the show up and running, we'll address that right off the gate to make things easier for you. Wait, what? Who keeps fucking yelling at me? So, this is how it's going to work. So previously what would happen is we would record our Raw and SmackDown discussion here on a Thursday night, like I am right now, with the combined show about somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours going live on the Friday morning. With the shift with SmackDown, it throws a spanner in that worked, because if it releases on Friday, the next episode of SmackDown releases in literally 24 hours. So there is no... having the SmackDown recording delayed like that is not good. It limits what minimal traffic we get as it is. So this is how it's going to work. We are completely rejiggering how we do the show. So this is how it's going to go. So SmackDown will air on a Friday for us. We will be recording our SmackDown review on a Monday night. I know it's a couple of days, but we want to sort of free up our weekends. That makes it easy, because that's the tough part about it, doing a Saturday. We already record for the players over the weekend, so we don't want to add too much to our weekend time. So we're recording on a Monday night for SmackDown, and then that will air first thing on Tuesday, usual 8 a.m. on podcast services, 9 a.m. on the YouTubes. If there happens to be a pay-per-view, we will record that on the Tuesday. That would go up on the Wednesday. And then for Raw would be recorded on a Wednesday, and then episode releasing on a Thursday. So that does change a couple of other stuff. That means that we will be moving our streaming from Wednesday nights to Thursday nights. This is to accommodate the Raw recording. On a plus side, by reducing the total show. So previously you would get an hour and a half to 2 hour show, and that's a lengthy sit, man. That's a really lengthy sit. So what we're looking at doing is having 2 half-hour, 45-minute shows, around about that, just enough to cover that particular show. Ideally, we would have dirt sheets of both, which will allow us to be at least a little bit more up to date with the backstage wrestling biz, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, it also makes it more easily consumable for everybody, and as close to release as possible. Of course, is that more work for us? Well, yeah, it is, but it's also the same. It's still the same recording time, but just spread out. So previously, bit of behind the curtain stuff, rendering an hour and a half, 2 hour video, that takes a long amount of time, man. So a lot of the time, we'd record, I'd edit it, I'd start rendering, and then it wouldn't be done till 1 a.m. or whatever. And even then, I'd still have some more work to do on it. So it would involve me finish what we're doing at like midnight, going to bed for a couple of hours, getting back up, waking up early, coming in here, getting it uploaded, doing all the thumbnail, getting it all locked in, ready to go. So that alleviates a stressor for me, which is cool. Gives me a bit more sleep heading into my Friday, which I'm a big fan of because Fridays are tough as it is. But yeah, it also spreads out the show. So that's exciting. I hope you like those changes. And that in terms of that, these will continue. So if you are a Patreon supporter, you will still get to watch the show live as it happens. Video will still be an option, even though we do get noticeably less traction on our videos compared to our audio podcast. So that's something we need to look into as well. On top of that, there will be some changes to how we record the show. As I said, right now it's in the studio, it's in my house, and it's Jem and I sitting across this table and discussing the show. Now, Jem does live an hour away from me, an hour and a half, if not more, when traffic is in action. So it's been unreasonable for her to come multiple times a week. It was tough enough her coming one day a week. So we will also be looking at doing the show remotely. As in, she would, stream into me, and then I would stream it out to you guys and record it and all that sort of stuff. So it would still get the same deliverable, but it'll just come in a different way. So no longer will we be sitting across the table. It'll be her house, my house, that sort of thing. That should alleviate some of that and also get that turnaround time a little bit nicer. But that's more backstagey stuff. I feel like I'm rambling my face off right now, and it's been like 5 minutes. I hope it's been coherent. So that does mean a little bit of change in the dynamic. There will be a transitional window, of course, because we are still in the process of getting her own recording gear. So that will take a little bit of time. So she will be here for a couple of weeks, maybe, and it will be straight up the same. But then it will transition out. We'll have nice new overlays, hopefully made by good old Dash. Our dirt sheet man, he's a master of the graphical image. Pardon me, I still think we'll be able to get something nice together for us. But yeah, that is all the housekeeping. Shows are split. Show is split. Different days. Same wrestling goodness. Same channel. Just different times and more of them. So if anything, you're kind of getting the same, but misleadingly seems like more. Just like wrestling. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, let's get into the show as we normally do. So how am I doing this week? I'm not too bad. As of right now, once this show is finishing recording, I'm going to go get to watch AEW Dynamite because I haven't watched that yet. I've been at work all day and I had an all-day meeting, so I couldn't jump into that straight away, which bums me out. And then hopefully I'll be watching NXT as well because I think that's going to be a banger episode going up against AEW. So I'm very keen to check that out. But yeah, no, I'm pretty well, man. It's mostly just getting ready for PAX at the moment. Super keen for PAX. In terms of what's relatable here, we'll have WWE 2K20 playable. Keen to check that out. Speaking of 2K20, they announced the soundtrack this week. A couple of bands in there, I think Motley Crue was in there. The Black Keys was in there. Not a lot of people I know, because as I'm starting to age out of current music. But that should be pretty cool. I think there's a gameplay demo going up today. That's in the day of post. So if that's interested, check that out. Hopefully there's less frame jutter than we saw in that Stone Cold video. But we can't tell. Dash in the chat says OT looks like junk. Yeah. Saying that though, there has been some bangers that have come out of previous iterations of the soundtrack. Like I'm not a big Kanye West listener at all. I really enjoyed Black Skinhead, and that song gets a quite frequent rotation on my music playlist. It's just kind of punchy and it's very cool. So I'm sure that there might be some sort of sneaky one in there that might catch my attention. It does tend to happen, or at least one of them kind of gets my attention. So in the same way that we are essentially ushering in a new era of Young and the Wrestlers, as is WWE. So this week, this episode of Raw, because today, as of right now, we can only cover Raw because SmackDown is still 24 hours away. So this is just your just Raw today. So this is the beginning of that nice smaller show. And then next week it'll come out on a Thursday rather than being recorded on a Thursday. It's all good. So this is technically what they're referring to as the season premiere of Raw. They only mention it literally 87 times, I think What Culture Wrestling said. So they're pretty excited to talk about it being the season premiere. And with the season premiere does come some changes, does come some alterations, and just some new things. Hey, Killer's come to join us in the chat. How are you, Killer? Thank you very much for stopping by, as always. All right, so the show kicked off with a couple of different things. So it had the then, now, forever thing change as well. It's kind of the music has altered. It seems a bit more like 80s-ish, which is fucking weird. Because it's weird. Because as of what's today? Today is the 3rd. So on the 6th of October, that marks my I guess the 7th October for us. No, it was the 6th. It marks the 1 year anniversary to when I started watching wrestling, especially on a weekly basis. So it's been very cool to see that year come to a head, because I talked about this on Twitter. It's like, wrestling came at a time for me when I really needed it. I just kind of fell into it and I really enjoyed it. So what was my hobby at the time had become my job, and I was feeling some burnout towards it, because it's just it altered how I looked at the world, because what used to be my escape is now my everyday. So I needed something. I needed something else to enjoy, and that's where wrestling came in, and it's been an awesome year. I've loved, even in its worst weeks, I have still really enjoyed wrestling, and I do hope that this is something that will be with me for a while. I think it will, because my son is connecting to it as well. It's something that we get to share. Which is fantastic. It's allowed me to create this show. It's allowed me to meet some awesome people. I do truly love this entertainment, and I came at just the perfect time to see these new changes in just WWE, but then also seeing the introduction of AEW and everything that comes with that. It's been absolutely awesome. Been really cool. I like it a lot. But the point I was getting at with that is because I have connected like that opening intro, that sound to, like, it's almost like that Pavlovian response, duh, dun, 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 and it kind of it fills me with excitement and anticipation, because when you hear that at the start of a pay-per-view, I'm like, oh. I don't know what, and it's super weird, and it's probably this weird Pavlovian response, but I get really happy when I hear that. So when that changed, I was like, dun, 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 what the fuck? And then it was all different. I'm not quite sure on that one, but it was fun. So they also showed a new intro to the show, external to like the little stinger at the start. So what they've done here is that they've gone back to the somewhat, I presume, older style, because they haven't done it since I've been rewatching. With the the clip show of all sort of the highlights of a bunch of different wrestlers, or superstars, I should say. But this one, they've also shown the band that is performing the new intro. The intro is a company. It's a band called Skillet. I don't know a lot about Skillet. I know about them because I remember having a there was a tour years and years ago called Taste of Chaos. And it was this big sort of emo running festival thing. And they used to have accompanying albums. And one year they released Taste of Christmas, which is this essentially emo hardcore remix of like Christmas carols. And I remember Skillet doing a song on that I really enjoyed. But Dash and Skillet are awesome. Down. I'm in. As I've not checked them out. I did kind of dig the intro. I did like it. It was certainly better. I think better than the Raw at least. And Dashos comes through with a dirt sheet. You're a champion. So I'll be interested to hear more of them. And I'm surprised that they're not in 2K. I assume the intro itself will probably be in 2K20, but I'm interested that they haven't announced it yet. And they also did show off a new set. So, as Dash said in the chat over there, welcome to Monday Night Tony Hawk's Pro Wrestling, because the ramp now is essentially a giant quarter pipe. So, it's a giant LED board, now in regular widescreen, no longer the super widescreen that they had previously, and it kind of curves off into the bottom and then kind of flows off onto the stage. So, it's almost like a big wave shape, which is cool. I was a little disappointed in it initially because I'm like, what the fuck? It's just the square. But then I didn't realize that behind it, they were still having extra stuff. It's like all these little mini screens and like essentially fairy lights. The fairy lights was a weird touch, but that was okay. If they use this smartly, then I'm not going to have too much of an issue with it. But I like that it's something new because I honestly enjoyed the massive LED board for WrestleMania this year. Just something about it that was kind of cool. However, this is kind of a small down version of that, and it's got like a little doorway that's sort of in the bend, and it was a lot more. This doorway is a lot more obvious than the WrestleMania one was. So if they went sort of the same route as the WrestleMania one, it's almost like they just because of the size of that screen. When he just sort of like walk, like because of the size of the screen, it's almost like they're coming out of nowhere because they start really small and they get more in shot. And you're like, wow, you kind of just walked out of oblivion. It was very cool. But they've not quite got that here yet. And on top of that, you'll notice if you do watch it, that a lot of the graphic piece, the graphics, I guess the Titantron stuff, not all of it was ready. A lot of it seemed to spill into the bottom part and kind of stretch out and not look too good. Some of the key ones looked all right, like King Corbin had a big one, Brock Lesnar had one, sort of stuff. We did also see the new logo, which is interesting. Depending on how they use it, it can look good. Like when it's the red on the white, it's cool. I don't mind the red on the white. It kind of pops nicely. However, when they've used it on the ring side and it's black on with red on black, the problem that they're having is when they look at the side of the ring, the way the image is cut, it literally looks like they've just put a JPEG on top of it. Like it's actually really jarring to look at. Like none of this, like not even not a PNG of like, there's nothing around the Raw logo. It looks like they've got literally a black square and they've just gone punk, and it looks really lazy and gross. And I can't fucking stand it when it's the ringside. Every time I look at it, kind of go, oh. Like, see, we don't make incredible graphics, incredible thumbnails here. Like, I just don't have that skill set. But there are some things that kind of let me go, oh, and that is one of them. And one of the other things later is they got a graphic for Hell in the Cell with, let's have you guys looking at me. So it had Sasha and Becky here, and they were full length, and their bodies touched the bottom. On this side, it had Bray and Seth Rollins. However, so this is the bottom of the screen here. Their torsos cut off about here. So there's a clear lack of extra portion body, because in order to make them the same size on either side, they kind of shortened Bray and Seth, which looked fucking stupid. And on top of that, you could see, because they've just obviously when they've done that, just overlaid it over the actual footage of the show, because there was a blue strip down the bottom where you could see the commentators. It was a bit poor on that graphic. Speaking of commentators, so they do have new commentators. They've got Vic Joseph and Dio Madalyn, I think I've written here, both of 205. James. So I can see my son velocirapting the door. Vic Joseph, I thought was fine. He's very good. I have no major issue with him. He's certainly better than Michael Cole, but that's fine. So Dio, however, he was very quiet. Dio Madden, sorry, my handwriting is disgusting. So it looks like Madelin because my handwriting's gross. He was fine, however, incredibly quiet. I couldn't differentiate his voice from Vic. I assume it is different, but previously with Corey, Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Renee Young, they do all have distinct voices. Like how Michael Cole talks to how Corey Graves talks is different, and obviously Renee Young sounds like a woman, so it's very different. So that was one of the first things I noticed. That was really kind of, I'm like, wait, is that one? Because the third person on the commentary team, Jerry the King Lawler, fucking sucks. I hate him so much. So much. It is actually a detriment to the show having Jerry Lawler on that panel. He has no comedic timing. He has no delivery. He straight up sucks. And there are moments as we get further into the show where he is overbearing the other two guys and preventing them from doing a decent job. And on top of that, because my issue with Jerry Lawler on top of that is obviously his time in the Diva, and you could tell during some of his commentary during the Divas era, he was trying very hard to not push that line here. So credit to him, but he did get like 90% there. He went, oh, and then decides to pull away. He is shit. He's absolute shit. I think one of the exact quotes were, his IQ so low he couldn't find it with a flashlight. What does that even fucking mean? Is it trying to be a joke that's saying he's not too bright? Is that where you're going? You fucking suck, Lawler. And on top of that, it's something about ugly trees, and he's just not good. He is simply not good. Now, I understand why they would why they try to put like a quote unquote veteran on the panel, with the idea of Vic Joseph and Dio Madden being relatively new. That have a veteran there to help them out. But they could have put fucking anybody else there, and it would have been a staggeringly better commentary team. What I find, because previously with the commentary team with Michael Cole, he did his job. As much as I despised him a lot of the time, he did his job. But he was in no way as bad as Lawler on this episode. I would actually prefer to have Michael Cole back. I know we'll get him for SmackDown, but whatever. Yeah, and it was that situation. It was just actually aggravating me the whole time. But the show does start. It does kick off with Rey Mysterio. He walks in, and once again, Jerry, the Lawler is like, "Oh, it's time for the Universal Championship match." And then he looks, and then Rey Mysterio's in his street clothes, and he goes, "Oh, maybe not." You have a fucking bit of paper in front of you, mate, that tells you what's going on. Yes, shit. Fuck off. Yes, Rey Mysterio comes in his streets. He walks out. Dominic is ringside. He walks into the ring and starts delivering a promo once again about him not retiring, and how his son Dominic was there and integral in helping make it happen. And on top of that, this match that he does have tonight with Seth for the Universal Championship will be dedicated to Dominic. And as he's talking, fucking Brock Lesnar comes in with Paul Heyman, makes his way down to the ring, gets into the ring with Paul Heyman. Rey Mysterio staying there. Brock snatches that fucking microphone out of his hand, gives it to Paul Heyman. He's about ready to do his little speech. Rey Mysterio slams it back. And I can't remember whether there's a bit of to and fro here. Next thing you know, fucking bam. Rey Mysterio is up on the shoulders of Brock Lesnar, and there is a gnarly, vicious F5 gets dropped on his ass. He then, let's see, what have I got here? So then Brock, I believe I've got written here F5 to Rey twice. I think there were 2 F5s here before. Yes, there was. Sorry, there was 2 F5s here to Rey, absolutely obliterating him. Brock gets out of the ring, sees Dominic ringside, and he just gets right up in his shit. And there's a long, lingering stare down, and it was great. Absolutely great. So the idea, Dominic standing there looking right in Brock's face, and he proceeds to sit down. And it's like that, yeah. It's Brock obviously like, yeah, that's right, you fucking sit down. And then he reaches over the barrier, just grabs him by the arms and just pegs him and fucking lobs him into the ground. Like, this guy takes a brutal drop on the ground. And Killer points it out, just straight up F5. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Dash. And Killer says this was an uncomfortable segment to watch. Yeah, it was. So he just continues to just hurt fucking Dominic so bad. Like, he picks him up and looks like he's about to F5 him as well, but he doesn't quite get the full grip on it because, obviously Dominic's fighting back. So instead he picks him up and just runs him into the ring post. Just bam, right on the spine, drops him on the ground. It's fantastic. I can't remember what happens next, but somehow they're both in the rings. Everyone's in the ring. Dominic, Rey, Brock, everybody's in there. So Brock picks up Dominic and just suplexes the living shit out of him. Like, we're talking brutal. He was thrown what seemed like 2 meters onto his neck. It was absolutely gnarly. And during all this, Rey Mysterio's begging and pleading for him to stop. He gets up and grabs his leg at one point, and then there's a third F5, and it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. So Rey's sort of getting in there, trying to pull him aside. Paul Heyman's yelling at him, telling him to stop. Brock's looking like he's almost losing his mind a little bit. He does get out of the ring and make his way up the ramp, and then proceed to turn around, come down, and just beat the piss out of everybody again. Enforcers and security comes in. Finley comes in as well. Brock just lays out pretty much all of them, kicks the shit out of some sort of security guy in the corner, and then proceeds to boot Finley out of the ring as well. And then I think there's another set of suplexes. Rey gets thrown into the rope on the stage side. Dominic gets something similar. Absolutely gnarly. Nothing but asshole chance as this goes down. Brock sort of stumbles around the ring looking lost and is a situation of just kind of like out of control and like, what have I done? It's in this weird sort of middle ground. Like, we know Brock doesn't have remorse in that sense, but there was this look of, oh, fuck, this is the loss of control. And then he proceeds to get out of the ring and scoot his way out. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It did feel like it went on a little bit too long, but the sense of dread for it all was fantastic. It was this no holds barred, just comes in and just wrecks shop. And poor Dominic just gets pummeled, absolutely pummeled. Now, there was a video that a good friend of the show, Buddy Watson, linked me. Was a gentleman from back in the day where Brock beat the crap out of him. And this guy only had one leg, and then he even unprotected chair shot him in the face. It was absolutely gnarly. Like, that is a more uncomfortable video to watch, where this was still very confronting, but not as quite as confronting as that. I do have some speculation where this can go, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Next up was Sasha Banks, Zach Gowen. Thank you, Dash. Killer goes, I agree. It did went on a little too long to the point where it became uncomfortable to watch, which I think is what they were going for. It makes total sense. Like, it's just really hanging on some of those shots and just sort of really pushing that. Being uncomfortable is a reaction, and wrestling is all about reactions. So I'm happy with that. And next up was Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. Now, during this going down, I think Sasha came in first, followed by Alexa. And we should mention as well, I forgot to mention at the start of the show, there was pyro. I don't know why I didn't get excited about pyro. I was really stoked on the pyro. The one thing I do have an issue with the pyro is the audio mixing was a little off. I understand that the pyro, the bang still comes through, but it kind of uncomfortably popped and drowned out. It's almost like the room mics were a bit too hot. It didn't quite sound as good and tidy as I think pyro should sound, but that could just be me being picky too. So Alexa Bliss had some cool pyro. I think she did anyway. One of the two did. But before this match even gets underway, Becky comes out as well. She's got steam. She got smoke. Big smoke machine behind her. Looked awesome. She looks absolutely stoked to be able to walk out in there. Turns out she is a guest commentator for this match. She comes and sits next to Lawler and proceeds to talk smack, mostly on Sasha Banks. The match does take underway. It was fine. Yeah, sure. But I did kind of lose my attention on it. I didn't think it was too grandiose. But in short, Becky's talking smack. Sasha starts trying to get up in her shit as well. She gets up on the turnbuckle, yelling towards the stage, with the commentary team on the stage, trying to get like coax Becky, coax Becky. So then Becky sort of like gets up on the desk to start yelling, and Lawler's like, "You promised, Becky. You promised me before that you wouldn't get on this. You wouldn't do this. You wouldn't fight. You wouldn't something. You promised me, Becky." And he would not shut the fuck up. And he just keeps going and going and going, and it's just so much that it even drowns out what the other two guys were doing. And it actually, to me, it was more distracting than anything I saw. What they should have done is shut the fuck up, and they would have let it be fine. Like, it would have allowed this sort of feud from a distance. If anything, it 100% drew away from what is actually happening. If anything, it's kind of tainted Becky and Sasha for me. It's just because I was like, oh, it's fucking hurting me. I wanted to kick him in his damn stupid face. But then out of nowhere, Law's like, "Oh, you told me you wouldn't interrupt. You told me, okay, yeah, I guess you can interrupt after the match. I suppose you can come in there and punch her in the face." Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, shut up. Just shut up. So Becky is standing on this desk, and she's wrapping her wrists, as when she's going there to punch Sasha. Something she's never fucking done before, or as long as I've seen. I've never seen her tape her wrists ahead of a match. Actually, I've seen her do it once. She was angrily looking at Charlotte while wrapping her wrist. So she's done it once before. And that was like, 2 weeks ago. The win did go to Sasha Banks. She did get a pin on Alexa. She did a distraction. She's like, "Hey, Bayley, come help me out." And Alexa, who knows Bayley's in ringside, went, "Who?" And then Sasha fucking kicks her and punches her in her injured knee. Roll up, 1, 2, 3. Sasha wins. Becky comes, kind of dawdles her way down to the ring. They start scuffling, scuffle. Sasha sneaks out and heads into the crowd, and Sasha starts yelling at her. Becky starts yelling at her from the ring. The idea of, like, you've unleashed like the fighting Irish spirit in me, and blah 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 blah. Come Hell in the Cell, we're gonna do all the blah blah blahs. Sure, I do. Once again, I understand it takes time to get the pay-per-view, but I'm really feeling the drain on this feud personally, because it's been nearly 2 months, I guess, or at least 2 pay-per-views. Next up was the Raw Tag Team Championship match with Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, who are the current champions, versus Heavy Machinery. First off, Heavy Machinery are a SmackDown tag team. I was under the impression under this new season the wild card rule would be gone, but that looks to not be the case, I guess, or maybe it's after the draft, but it was a little bit weird. Killer in the chat does jump in and goes, "I'm sorry, but Sasha can't act tough when she's running away from confrontation." Agreed. She either has to attack someone from behind or run away the first chance she gets. Big time. It's like, "Hey, yeah, you want to go, and then fucking legs it. No. I understand the motivations here. Motivations will be like, wait till we get in the Hell in the Cell, whatever, after the draft. Thank you, Killer. My understanding was after the season premiere it would stop, but no, the draft makes more sense too, I suppose, especially if they want to do the big sell on the season premieres. Yeah, okay, cool, that was fine by me. Yeah. But yes, it was a Robert Roode versus Heavy Machinery. It was all right. I enjoyed it. However, one thing that was super weird, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler came out. So while they're standing here in the ring, it then cuts to Charlie backstage, who then shows a clip of the Firefly Funhouse and Bray and how it's affecting Seth. And this went on for like 4 minutes roundabout. What felt like anyway. And then Seth's having a promo about how when he takes on the Fiend, it'll be, survive, overcome, whatever, right? His usual shit that you could put on a t-shirt. Prevail and all that sort of crap. And then he mentions that with Rey being so beaten, he's unable to compete tonight, and it's almost becoming an open challenge for the Universal Championship. So whoever wants to step up is welcome to come and step up. Cut back to the ring. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler just standing there, just waiting. Like, fucking. Why did they intercut this here? Why? Stupid. And yeah, Heavy Machinery come out. Otis is doubling down on shaking his shit around. He no longer wears the straps. It's just guts out, two boobies and guts out, which was all well and good because I still find it entertaining, so I don't have a problem with it too much just yet. Match was pretty solid. I got no major complaints. There was some good work here. It did start with Heavy Machinery really going strong and having a good fight against the Rudolph, I guess. So part of me was like, holy shit, they're going to come out with the belts. That's interesting. But it did not turn out to be the case, as there was a turn later on. And the win did go to Bobby Roode on Tucker with a glorious DDT. So Otis did have Roode ready to go for a compactor. Tucker went for the final part of the slam, but Dolph comes in with a super kick, wrecks him out of the way. Robert Roode escapes the clutches of Otis, goes for the glorious DDT. So as of right now, all these championship matches they announced really inconsequential. Because the Universal Championship match with Rey, not happening. Tag team, didn't change. Wonder what else will happen tonight. Next up is one of probably the most uncomfortable and horrible things I've ever fucking seen. So next up was an episode of Miz TV with Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair comes in first. Miz, to his credit, looked so happy to be there. He was really stoked. He was super just marking out a little bit. It was very cool for him. I liked seeing him happy. That was nice. But once Rick and Hulk were in the ring, it was one of the most uncomfortable, cringeworthy things I have ever seen. Flair was trying to talk smack on Hogan. Hogan was trying to do the same thing back. This made me want to vomit. This was absolutely gross. This is the problem that WWE are facing. They are relying on these old as fuck people to help push over to presumably new audiences, right? These guys can no longer deliver the promos of old. They can no longer even stand in the ring without looking like two broken leather handbags, might I add. Ric Flair looks like asshole. I cannot understand the appeal of Hulk Hogan, especially after all the controversies that he's gone through. I don't understand why they keep wheeling these two fucks out. Let them go. Let them be done. Their time is over. Simple as that. But of course, the only reason to wheel out old people is for a Saudi Arabian pay-per-view. So they had pulled the two out ahead of the upcoming Crown Jewel, which is on a Thursday, so a Friday for us. I think it's like the 1st of November or something here in Australia, because I think it's the 31st in the US. They've announced that, because there were this sort of weird hints that they were going to fight again. And I was like, I'd rather just punch myself in the dick several times. There's nothing worse. Nothing else I'd want. Like, I wouldn't want to say that. Like, you could, it's like, here's two videos. Here is someone just grinding their ball bag into a vice. or you could watch Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan. I'm like, how many times can I watch that guy put his ball bag in a vice? That's where it would go for me. Excuse me while I readjust my pants. But it turns out obviously because they're old as shit and they wouldn't even be remotely cleared. They announced they are having a tag team match, each of them picking five competitors, I believe it was. So it's a 5-man tag team match. So each they'd have team captains and then 4 corresponding wrestlers. Hulk Hogan mentions that he here is the captain of his team, and out comes Seth Rollins, belt in hand, makes his way down. So, as I said, in terms of he's the team captain for Hulk Hogan. Flair, before he even really gets to even say anything, Randy Orton's music hits, he comes out. So, what the fuck does that mean? Like, so is the draft, or once again, is the locks of the draft already void? Like, how are they going to promote these two teams going head to head if they can no longer go on each other's show? So in other words, there's going to be people breaking those lines between the things, all because of the Saudi show. They haven't even had Hell in a Cell yet, and they pushed this show, Crown Jewel 2, Blood Money Boogaloo, before they pushed Hell in the Cell. Or it's so hard here, it's actually kind of gross. So during this little kerfuffle, Killer goes, that means Rollins is definitely loving the title. And Dash goes, it's the Survivor Series rule. But yeah, Survivor Series is all about the hype between the two. You never see them cross paths until the night. That's fun of it. Except for, last year when they run in and like punch. But like with the line in the sand, pun not intended, for like how these shows are being separated, I'm even unsure how Survivor Series is going to work, because how would USA approve losing to SmackDown guys? Will Fox be comfortable with losing to USA guys? It's a weird thing to straddle here, and I don't know how it's going to go. But it's that comes. We'll deal about that in October or later. Is it later in the month? Wait, we're in October now. November, because TLC's in December. Yeah, we'll see what happens in November with Survivor Series, and we'll go from there. So yeah, during this thing, Randy Orton tells Seth Rollins to pull his face out of Hulk Hogan's butthole. Made me chuckle. And let's have a captain's match right now. And this is one thing I love. There's one little subtle thing I loved. So they're like, yeah, let's have a match. So Seth Rollins pegs a chair out of the ring. There's a big carpet on the mat, obviously for the Miz TV. Randy Orton's just yelling at people to fucking pull that mat up. He's kicking it. He's rolling up. Now they could have cut to an ad break here, and it would have been fine. However, they hung on this shot of this, people going, hut, running down, rolling up the carpet, scooting off out with it. Loved it. It really added this impromptu nature to it. They're like, no, we had no idea this match was going to happen. Hey, you unravel this carpet up. We need to get this match going now. Because I think a ref run down the ramp as well. Loved it. Nice little subtle thing, but I absolutely loved it. During this little scuffle, Corbin comes in and does the beat down on Seth. This is before the bell even happens, so there was no match between Orton and Rollins anyway. He comes in with his scepter and starts laying down on Seth, so we can therefore only assume that Corbin is part of the team for Flair. And during this beatdown, Rusev comes legging it in, breaks up the fight, starts going to pound town everybody, not in the way you think, and it's confirmed that he is on Hulk Hogan's team. Interesting. I like Rusev. Keen for more Rusev. I like King Corbin. I like that he's not on Hogan, because essentially after this beatdown, so both Corbin and Orton are just laid out. Rusev and Seth Rollins come to the top of the ramp, and they're flexing with Hogan. Okay, because it's just, I guess they're the good guys of this of this matchup. Sure. Then we get a backstage segment with Rusev. He's walking all angry and frustrated. Then Charlie walks up to him and asks him about Lana. He goes, everyone's asking, where is Lana? He sort of freezes and, sorry, there's a little bit of sorrow on his face and a little bit of anger. And she goes, okay, that's fine. Then she asks, I forget, some other question. I guess about running out. I can't remember what it was. And Rusev on the lines of, look, I'm not here to talk about the problems I'm having at home. What I did here is I went and saved Seth. I got him out of trouble. He now owes me, and I'm ready for him to pay up in full. I want a shot at that Universal Championship, and I want it now. So he's willing to step in and take up that challenge of the Universal Championship. Cool. Next up, a new Aop promo. This promo was fucking on point. This is the one benefit of that foreign language, right? Now, these guys were talking in their native tongue, so they weren't talking the same language. They were just talking whatever language that they are fluent in, and it was awesome. Because they were talking a foreign language and it had to be the subtitles, it drew me in. And then what just happened to be what they were saying was fucking awesome. So they were talking about the idea of, although they grew up in different parts of the world, they did still grow up on the same desolate corner, in a world that bred violence. And with the idea that, violence breeds violence, breeds the lust for violence, breeds, the love of violence. It brings out it's all these different steps that those who bring the violence become the violence. And it was really awesome. I really dug the AOP promo. I enjoyed that quite a lot. Once again, because they sort of got injured a little bit after I started watching towards the start of the year. Excuse me, I think Razor was injured. So I saw them as tag team champions. I've seen them in old War Games clips I've mentioned before. So I'm really excited to see what they do. I can't wait for them just to come in there and clean house. Now, they're doing the promos on both Raw and SmackDown, so it's not quite 100% known where they will go, but still interesting nonetheless. Next up, Viking Raiders versus the OC. Kind of a paint by numbers, really. I had no really thoughts about it. When I saw the Viking Raiders, I'm like, oh, cool. All right, who are they taking on? Oh, it's the OC. Okay, cool. That's fine. I'm going to check Twitter, which I did. So, okay, that's fine. Whatever. The win did go to the Raiders, however, which is unsurprising because the OC trying to look tough but just keep getting wrecked with a frog splash from Ivar onto Gallows. That was really awesome. I really dug that. I think one of the quotes from commentary was, "Welcome to 305 Live." That's a good call. That is an excellent call. I proper chuckled when I heard that. That was very, very good. Next up is a backstage segment with Charlie. She's talking about Brock and how Rey and Dominic had been escorted out via ambulance because they're both super jacked up. And Paul Heyman and Brock are still in the building, and they are to be questioned by authorities for this heinous attack. Then Cesaro comes in and goes, "Hey man, I'm bummed that Brock turned up. It's bad because I wanted to beat the fuck out of Dominic. That's weird, dude. All right, cool." So he's sitting there talking about how he wished he beat up a child. Then Ricochet comes in being like, "Nah, mate. That's bullshit. You wouldn't do nothing. You're a piece of shit, mate. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it." And he's like, "If you want to prove that you would do it, come beat up me. I'm a child. Come beat me up in the ring." He said none of those things. Then it came to Ricochet versus Cesaro. All right, match. I had no issue here. I do like Cesaro. I do like Ricochet. Cesaro just seems to deliver killer matches. However, as seems to be the theme, the trend right now, Cesaro takes the loss. Ricochet does get the win with a fucking awesome Hurricanrana. I had no problems with that at all. Very happy with that. Next up was the Firefly Funhouse segment. It started off with Rambling Rabbit, Huskus the Pig Boy, Mercy the Buzzard, and Abby the Witch, all being scared shitless. They're all scared of what the Fiend could do. and how he's going to hurt Seth. Then Bray comes in and talks about the idea of like, why you're all scared, and they're like, blah, 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 by hurting Seth. And he's like, look, mate, I'll go have a chat to the Fiends and I'll get him to like not do it. Runs off camera, lol jokes, comes back. It's like, haha, nah, mate, I'm going to wreck him. And before that even happened, I should mention that Rambling Rabbit died of a fear-induced heart attack. And Bray's like, oh no, and just pegs him off screen. Gives zero shits. But then again, we've also seen Rambling Rabbit be mushed with a giant hammer. So there's that. It seems to be like these, they are puppets, I guess. Yeah, it was fine. I've no major issues here. It is still one of the best things on the show. But for me, it's all about, all right, give me Hell in a Cell. Give me Hell in a Cell. That's what I want to see. Next up was Universal Championship match. AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander for the 19th time. Match was pretty solid. I got no... it was just... It didn't have my attention because we've seen it so many times before. Saying that, though, I don't know where they're going here with the story, but it does look as if that that Cedric is learning. He seems to be having an upper hand here on AJ. So it's this, even though he's been beaten down, this would be the third time. He's learning about AJ. He's understanding. He's finding ways to counteract some of his hits. And he does get him to almost the point of a lumbar check. But so goes for the check. AJ takes it, rolls up, grabs him, picks him up. Styles clash. Fantastic. That last, like the smoothness of that sort of momentum there was absolutely on point. I really enjoyed it. The ending was better for me than the whole match itself. Not too bad at all. Once again, unsurprisingly, the belt didn't change hands. So, as of right now, all the advertised belts, belt championship matches mean bollocks. Absolute bollocks. So, it's this anticipation, and then nothing. Then we get to the Street Profits and doing a backstage promo, which they're essentially just putting over NXT at this point, talking about how, although they are here on Raw, they are still very much NXT, and they are super keen to go take on the Undisputed Era on Thursday their time Thursday their time to come out with those belts. No, Wednesday their time, because it comes on a Thursday for us. Next up was a match of Natalya versus Lacey Evans. Couldn't give any shits here. Not even a little bit. Once again, repeating matches. Win did go to Lacey Evans after poking Natalya in the eye and giving her a roll up. She'd also sucker punch her in the face at one point, which was cool. Then we go to Paul Heyman doing a backstage promo. He's talking about how you shouldn't be blaming Brock, shouldn't be blaming Paul, you should be blaming Vince McMahon, because Brock is ready and itching for a fight. This is the week before his big for his big championship match. Like it was unreasonable of them. It was irresponsible of them to bring him in when he is here in this state. So that part was really cool. I did like that. I think Paul Heyman can still deliver something amazing. So I really enjoyed what they were going for here. It was pretty good. Next up was a backstage section bit with Maria Kanellis. She confirms that, Rusev is not the father. Whoa. And then, walks away. Sasha comes in, steals the mic, threatens to talk smack on Becky and punch her out, whatever. Finally, the Universal Championship match with Seth Rollins versus Rusev. It was all right. I enjoyed it. Lots of much kicks and that sort of stuff. I enjoyed it. I dug it. I dug it a lot. I do quite like Rusev. I enjoy where this was going. During the scuffle, though, Rollins kind of takes a hit and falls and rolls out the ringside. Next thing, Bobby Lashley's music hits. Now, Lashley we've not seen since the Last Man Standing match with Braun. I believe that was... not Money in the Bank. It was after Money in the Bank. Ooh, my brain's itching now. When was the last time I saw Bobby Lashley? Was it Clash? No, it was before. No, it was before Clash. It was before Clash. I've brain farted really hard. I can't remember. But no. It was before SummerSlam. Thank you, Killer. Thank you. So it's been a while. Whichever was before SummerSlam, which I can't remember because I've completely forgot about SummerSlam too. So his music hits and he's sort of gesturing at the back, like talking smack, gesturing. Next thing, fucking Lana's music pops. Holy shit. She walks out and, looking awesome as Lana does. She grabs Bobby's hand and they're like, well, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then they just proceed to, literally just dry fuck each other on the stage. It was weird. It was hysterical. I laughed very hard when I saw this. I thought this was funny as hell. So they cut back to Rusev. He's all sad looking on the ropes. And it's very clear that, their problems at home was Bobby and Lana. It looks as if it's something he knew about, but now it's finally happening in front of him. It was, I would say he knew about it, not in a a shared partner situation, as in it's very clearly Lana is cheating on him with Bobby Lashley. This worked for me because this is the soap opera shit that I came to wrestling for. This is awesome. It is so fucking stupid, but it is awesome. And Killer says in the chat right there, Lana was so into that segment. Lana went all up into it. It was like Hollywood level kissing, my blah, 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 fucking leg up, wrapping around it. I was listening to another podcast there, and they're like, it was surprising that she almost didn't deliver some sort of over the pants hand job on Bobby Lashley. They were just right up in each other's business. This whole time, Baron Corbin and Randy Orton are off to the side, giggling like school children on a broken ass throne, by the way, because Baron was sitting on it, just fucking fell apart. So all this is happening, and it's just fantastic. Next thing, boom, 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 boom. Lights dim, lights change. The Fiend comes in. Fiend doesn't attack Rusev, by the way. He attacks Seth ringside. So this has become some really, really weird sex thing. You've got two people just fucking on a stage, and you've got some guy sticking his whole hand down somebody else's throat, and you've got two people watching the side and being this is a whole weird setup of things going on here. It was amazing. In my head, the second those lights dimmed, Bobby was just fucking in Lana. That's probably, it's just are they, even on top of that, while the Fiend is there, are they still kissing? Are they still going to town? Did they just, peter off? What are they doing? Rusev is in the ring. Did he sneak off, or is this opportunity to go up there and smash Bobby Lashley? We don't know. It just cuts to, the Fiend just throat sexing, Seth Rollins, and yeah, and that brings us to the end of the show. This is a tough one for me. There were some things about it that were really good that I enjoyed. I enjoyed that because it was stupid. But in short, if we had a 3, more than just the total of the 4, it's better than a bar, so it's not a 1 out of 4. But it's not quite as good as a 2 out of 4, if that makes sense. So it's somewhere between a bar and a Kurt Angle. So it's somewhere between there. It wasn't super shit that it gets no score. It wasn't so it wasn't so good that it gets anything higher than a half. It wasn't very good. It really wasn't very good. But yeah, so let us know what you think in the comments below, or the Discord, the Facebook group, all those sort of things. Dash in the chat goes, it was shit. It's an Orange Cassie, so it's I guess it's an Orange Cassie. It's Yeah, I'll go with that. It's an Orange Cassidy. Hell yeah, love it. Now, as you said, we do end the show with our good friend Dash. He sends us a dirt sheet with all the latest and greatest news in there about what's happening in the wrestling world behind the scenes. So let's take a look over that dirt sheet and let's see what is there. Bam. Take a look. Dash has provided us with... Oh, wait, open him. I don't want to open in pages. Just open the damn thing. Sorry, the Discord's been stupid. Go away. We've got 2 bits of news today, and some pretty important news, by the way. Killer goes, 9% of the show felt like it came directly from Paul Heyman's playbook. Yeah, I guess so. But I do also feel that this was just paddling ahead of the draft. I think once the draft is done, there's no piss farting around. They can really start running with stuff. That's what I'm hoping anyway. The first one. CM Punk confirms Fox tryout for WWE SmackDown. CM Punk did an interview with Collider Live this week, addressing the rumor that he had auditioned for the WWE Backstage Studio news show, and this is what Punk said. Quote, "Yeah, I did it. It's very much in a position where, well, come talk to me. I'm open to anything. If they come to me with, hey, you want to wrestle? I'll say, I'm not interested." Punk noted that Fox is very interested in the WWE brand, and the network was interested in using him for the studio show. Punk added that he hasn't been dealing with anyone from WWE during the process. So CM Punk essentially confirms that he has been in discussion with Fox around doing WWE Backstage. So his discussions with WWE have been anything really. It's very cool that he addressed very clearly here that he had zero intentions in wrestling again, which is cool. Which is fine, which is what to be expected, I suppose. He does also talk about how the idea of like back in the day Punk is different to 2019 Punk. Like people are craving 2010 Punk, but you're not going to get that guy. If he was to wrestle again, you wouldn't get that guy. He's changed too much as a person. He's a whole different guy now. He wouldn't be that guy, even if he wanted to be. So I like these addressed it because up until this point it had been sort of a hearsay sort of thing, sort of left up in the air and like, ooh, we kind of saw him in the car park of the Fox Studios, stuff like that, which is fine. But in a follow-on to that, Triple H made some comments about Punk as well. While appearing on SL.com's podcast, Triple H commented on the talk of CM Punk having a role on the new WWE Backstage studio show. Quote, "Look, I've read about that as well. You know, to be clear, Fox is doing the show, and it's their show, and it's something they're doing to talk about WWE Universe and everything going on in it. They've had a long list of people they've been interviewing and everything, but as far as for us, one of the things I think this company has shown over and over again is never say never. If the opportunity is right for everybody and it's right for our fans, then we are willing to put past behind us and move forward. So I would never say never, but that's also probably a long way from coming too. I don't know. That's also a lot. That's also a little bit outside of my purview at the moment. But like I said, never say never." So he's saying there essentially he said a whole bunch of nothing really. So he didn't deny it. He didn't say it was happening. He just kind of kept that shit really, really vague. Fine by me. I do wonder where this goes. I've talked about this in the past, like because I wasn't watching when Punk was a big thing, I really don't know / understand the appeal. I did think he obviously delivered something that was what the WWE Universe needed at the time, which is cool. I hate the CM Punk chant personally. I think it's stupid. I think it's petty and very disrespectful. But I understand when people are, unimpressed by what's going on in the ring, but I just don't like the CM Punk chant personally. It kind of annoys me. I think if I watched maybe when he was around and prominent, I might have a different stance. That does bring us to the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining me once again as I sit here talking about myself rambling. Now, normally a show that would focus on just Raw or just SmackDown would not be this long. It's just because we did have to address those things at the start. Speaking of those things, so as of next week, this show, which is the Raw discussion, will release on a Thursday with a Wednesday night recording for those of you on Patreon who come and watch us live. So we would be recording around about the same time, and it would release at 8 a.m. on the Thursday, 9 a.m. on the YouTubes, and that also includes our SmackDown show, which will be dropping first thing next Tuesday morning. That's at 8 a.m. once again, 9 a.m. on the YouTubes. So you get twice as much Young and the Wrestlers in your week. 3 if there's a pay-per-view. Ooh, there is a pay-per-view next week. Get a little bit excited on that one. So, and if you want to join that wrestling conversation, you can head over to the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/thepopculturist. You can talk to us on Discord. You can harass Gemini on Twitter. Our things are in the description below. And if you want to join the conversation as it happens, as I said, head over to patreon.com/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record not just this show, but also our other show for the players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast. Get yourself a nice little sneaky link where you can come and join the party, have a chat about wrestling, have a chat about you say, and now you get to even do it more times a week. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? If you want to support us in a more one-off fashion, though, head to popculturist.com/shop where you can buy shirts like this and other assorted shit with our logos on it. We are also on a twitch.tv/thepopculturist. That is moving from a Wednesday through to a Thursday, and we're going to have to rejigger the day that we do our pay-per-view prediction streams, mostly because as of right now, like Hell in the Cell is Monday. Pardon me, with SmackDown not being until Saturday. That was a really good burp. The final match card isn't even announced yet. Like right now, there are 3 matches. And they are... so the matches are as stand. Universal Championship, Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. Fiend will win. Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's. Sasha's going to win. Roman and Daniel... Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Daniel Bryan will turn and cost the win for Roman, and they'll become a new trio, a new stable, because stables or sort of trios seem to be a cool thing they want to look at. Other than that, who fucking knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? But we hope you enjoy this new era of the Young and the Wrestlers, where you get more in your face. But I'm Ryan Betson. And until Tuesday, we'll see you then. Bye. I'm going to go watch AEW Dynamite now. Ooh, God, I'm excited. The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culturist WWE podcast, is fan support over at Patreon at patreon.com/thepopculturist. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: AJ Abatomi, Damian Holdies, Kyle Dunn, Lee Wintershoven, Nathan Massetti, Paul James, Pure Mongrel, and Sean Levitt.